Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we're going to do more winter speed pruning. We're going to start off with this tree, which I currently don't have a name for, so if you have some ideas, please add them to the comments. So when we last worked on this tree, it started out looking like this, and I will put a link to the video in the video details, so you can go watch that if you'd like to. But it looked pretty good. Uh, and so I did some primary pruning on it. It hadn't really been pruned before. And we ended up with a tree that looked like this. Also looked pretty good. Now, most of the growth that's come on since this has been indoor growth. So, we get good growth indoors, but it's way better outdoors. But I wanted to give you a review of how we've gotten to where we are so far. And, I think it looks pretty good. And we are just continuing on to develop the tree. But let's get back to what it looks like today. So it has grown, quite a bit. We've got some long leaders in it. And, what I call speed pruning is I like to just come in here. I'm not really doing structural pruning for the most part, although I may cut off a branch here and there. But I'm just kind of neatening it up. You can see it's got this really long growth. And if you don't cut this back, it just takes off more and more. And you really want to balance it out so that you get good growth over the entire tree. So cut back your strong areas and then the weaker areas will take off. So I'm just going to cut this right back and really encourage this tree to give a little more love to those lower branches. And if you periodically do this, the tree will get the message and uh, and it will respond. So I look at this tree, and my initial idea was this main straight up trunk was to cut it back and just have a much shorter tree. But I don't know. I'm kind of weighing that. It's kind of an interesting tree with these three kind of flaying trunks out the side. And so, yeah, I don't know. It's kind of maybe it's growing on me. You look at something long enough and you sort of just get used to it. So I may be rethinking my decision on that. So yeah. So in the comments, if you have a good name for this tree, drop that in there. And also, let me know if you think I should um, keep developing the tree basically, similar to what I'm currently doing. Boy, I've got some that goes from 1 to 3 there. I might want to thin that out. Or if you think I should, cut it back drastically and create a new tree and have a much smaller tree. So I think this branch in the front, it's got one right behind it and it's kind of thick. I think it's too thick for where it is. And I don't think I need it. I think I'm going to take it off in favor of the much finer growth behind it. So I'm just going to snip this right off. And yeah, I think that's much better. I mean, now I can develop that branch into, the branch that would be in that area. The other one, I really think it was too thick given how high it is. Um, it might have been okay if I'm going to have this as a separate tree because that would have been the primary branch, which maybe that's what I was thinking. But I also think this weaker branch is way more interesting and kind of in scale with the rest of the tree. So, yeah, I think regardless, that was a good decision with that branch. Now, looking at this, I've got a lot of growth. It's almost like a daughter tree that kind of grows under the canopy of a primary tree, but I've got some stuff that's just growing straight. Oh, that was just stuff that had fallen. um, but I still think I want to encourage this to grow out and not so close to the other tree's branches. And this is a good example of, as soon as you see something going in an area that you don't want, the tree's just basically wasting energy doing that. So you may as well do it sooner rather than later. I'm just cleaning that up because I really don't want anything coming that direction. Unless I'm going to cut off that main trunk, and I think for right now I'm not going to assume that. And here's the top. I'm really want to bring that back to just 2 sets of branches because um, it's quite thick up there, and I want to encourage the tree to grow elsewhere. We might get a new branch coming out the back there. I'll just shorten these up. on the top, and it's really thick in here in particular. I got some stuff coming straight out the front, so I'd rather change the direction, have it then go out to the side. And let's see, I've got some, and it's one's going straight up and one's going straight down here. So I think I'm just gonna get rid of both of them. So I think the top's looking pretty good there. I mean, I might be able to thin it out a bit more, but get rid of old leaves, leaves that are coming down. I always think that's a good idea. I think it just looks better and encourages the tree to grow. You don't want stuff hanging down. But let's move on to some of the lower part of the tree here now. And it's the same story. I just really want to remove stuff that I know I absolutely don't want, like that growing in the crotch, and then, you know, shorten it out so I get some division. Like I don't want to cut this back too much because I really want these lower branches to get up more of a head of steam and take off. But if I prune it balanced all over, that's kind of okay too. This is going straight back. I don't want that. On these lower limbs, I definitely have some straight sections here. Um, I could kind of guy wire that down or wire it down a bit. So I don't think I'm going to cut them for now because I definitely, I want a little more strength down here because what I found is if it's growing strongly and you cut it, then it typically bounces back um, pretty well and you tend to get more back budding. Whereas if a branch has been without budding for a while, it seems like it sort of shuts down that branch or stump and it can be hard to get it re-energized. At least that's been my experience. So once it gets really strong, then I'll cut it back, and usually it bounces back pretty quickly with new growth in areas where you didn't have growth previously. So I'm looking at the top. Do I want to shorten it a bit? I think it's the same argument. I think I do. Maybe down to even like down to that first leaf. But I think I've got a nasty wound on the top there, so I think I'm just going to let it grow a bit, and then maybe cut it back severely in the future. Um, but I think it's looking pretty good. Like I don't really think I want to do too much more to this today. I think it's ready to put back on the shelf and let it grow. So I'll just clean up some of these leaves and yeah, this is kind of this one is also, I don't know if I mentioned this, it's growing in Bonsai Jack soil, which these variegated really seem to enjoy that even more so than the standard ports. But yeah, little victory lap, and this one looks pretty good. And let's see, I will pick the next victim here. Yeah, so let's bring this one. I think I call this one one of my mother trees because it just looks, it's big and it has a nice trunk and it kind of swoops up. It's definitely got some thickness issues that I need to work on over time. This is what it looked like last time we worked on it. Um, it got a nice shape on it. You can really see the trunk structure, but now we're back to what we have now, and you can see it, it's grown out. A lot of these branches are like 8, 10 sets of leaves, and, so I just want to neaten it up and the standard clip and grow cycle of clipping and growing, clipping and growing. So here we go with the clipping. So with this one, I think I'll just that branch was sort of growing right into the branch beside it, um, and I think I want to almost like a profile prune, right? I kind of want to just bring it back into the general shape, which I'm going for this, and then we'll just let it continue to grow and bifurcate, and then we will pick the branches we want and get rid of stuff that's going in the wrong direction. But it's already developing a little bit of a character here, like you know, it's kind of doing what I want, right? It's kind of growing up and out, and what I really want to do is, um, just cut it back so it is growing up and out, but with more branches and more interesting, structure and taper. And I think, it'll just result in a much fuller tree. And this is kind of growing right back into the main trunk, so I'm going to get rid of that. I've got a few of those doing that actually, so I'll just kind of cut those out because I'm not going to be able to use that at all. Um, and yeah, I'm not going to worry about I've got some thick trunks here, but I feel like the overall shape of this is really, really pleasing. I think this left trunk almost serves as like a huge branch out there, and I may want to do some carving on that in order to reduce, its bulk, so it's kind of finer out towards the branches. At least that's my thought currently. But I continue to look at it, and when it has a decent amount of leaves on it, I think it looks really good. So who knows? Maybe I just won't worry about it. But I can certainly perhaps see that one major stump that's kind of sticking up there. Uh, it's on the right side now. I could see cutting that off because it doesn't really have much branches anyway, and I think it'll just help to, I don't know, make the branch structure when it doesn't have leaves look more detailed and intricate and less chunky. So that may come in the future, but I'm definitely not going to do that today. And I think it's looking pretty good. So I'm just coming around and getting rid of the lower branches. You can really see that's kind of growing straight in. I don't need that. Um, and just shortening things so we get more division closer in. I think it looks good from this angle. I think like this tree's kind of nice because it sort of looks good all around, which is always something you try to do. This is sort of growing straight back, so I think or straight into the trunk, so I think I'll take that off. But yeah, it's kind of nice when you get something that looks good from various angles, which is kind of what you want to go for. This is kind of bothering me because it's sort of parallel to the trunk. I mean, it's nice because it fills in a section there, which I will sort of have a. But man, it's really just kind of bothering me, and I do think over time, I'm going to have branches coming down from the apex that fill this area. So yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of it. It really bothers me, and I'd rather have the tree put effort into this, you know, the other branch that is at that same plane. It will just fill out, and I think the top branches from the top here will come down and also fill in that area. So it doesn't look great now, but we're sort of pruning for the future, and I think it will look quite good given a little time here. So I'll just clean this up. I think this one looks pretty good. Again, I'll put links to previous development on this tree in the details. There's also a playlist for all my trees, so you can go see this tree and click on it and watch the videos in reverse order or chronological order or whatever you want. This is one of the trees that was hit by scale, like from the $25 forest, but let's bring in another one. This is what a tree I call Dancer. Um, and yeah, it's progressing quite nicely. I don't have a picture of what this one looked like previously, but you can see it's grown out quite a bit, and it's got a nice overall shape. And much like the previous two trees, I really just want to come in here and cut things back to one or two sets of leaves, and really just set the tree up for the future so that it's putting all its energy, growth energy, into branches and leaves that I want. So I'm going to start off by just hitting the apex here and cutting it back. That's branch was going completely into the top. And, I don't want the top. The top is very aggressive, so I'm going to cut this back really hard and maybe even more as we go forward here. And in fact, I'm just going to take this off and lower it down a bit because I feel like this tree to me was always a little too tall. And so I'm going to create this new apex right here that's Um, it's kind of coming forward a bit, but I have a couple segments there, so I think this will work as the new top. So I'm just going to get that as flat as possible. Um, Maybe I'm breaking my speed pruning rule here by doing some hefty stuff. Yeah, it looks great from this angle in particular. Um, so, you kind of want the profile to, at least for this tree, when I'm thinking triangular. So, after making that cut, I'm just kind of coming down the tree. Here's a stub. It's got some stuff coming straight down, which I think I'll take off. But let me just continue shortening everything back to one or two sets of leaves. This is going right into the main trunk, so I don't think I could ever use that. Um, but maybe it'll turn around and create another level out there. We'll see. Or maybe I'll just take it off completely. This is a bit thick here. It had some growth coming straight up. Let's see what else we have here. That looks pretty good. And so the main thing now is to get down to, this lower branch, this primary branch, which, for me, it's a bit thick now. Um, I mean, it's kind of, thick and chunky and straight. And so I'm just going to cut it back and hopefully encourage it to get some back budding closer into the trunk so we can have it be fuller. But, I'm happy with this cleanup. I think it looks pretty charming. This is one of the trees, like, it definitely has a front. It looks really good from one angle and for some of the others. But, sometimes, that you just have to work with what you get. I've got this branch out the back here, which sadly has not done anything. I'm going to cut it back a bit more because what I found is like when you do that, sometimes that, kind of jump starts that branch to start doing something. Because I think, if I can get that to get some foliage on it, it'll fill in a nice spot and give me more of a three-dimensional feel out the back. So hopefully all this pruning will encourage the tree to get a little nervous and start pounding out some more leaves, including that wayward branch, for sure. And I've got one coming out the front here as well. I'm just going to let that go for now. As long as it kind of heads off to the left or the right pretty quickly, it doesn't bother me so much. So I'm just going to clean this up. And I have a surprise for you. I got some pots, some Christmas pots. And so rather than do a separate video for them, I'm just going to tack them on to this. So here we go. You can see these are my 3 pots. My in-laws are nice enough to send me some cash. So of course I turned that into bonsai pots right away. So I've got 3 of them here. And it's a nice variety. The first one this is called, the color is Starlight. And this is candied clay. They're kind of a local potter. I see them at all our bonsai meetings. And I'll try to pull it in because I really feel it's just a beautiful pot. Like as soon as I saw the color, and I love the chunky feet that they do, and there's their stamp, and they've always got good drainage. And yeah, the colors, I don't know if it's completely coming through in the video, but it's really just a charming pot, and I had to have it. This next pot I got on eBay. This is a Japanese pot. Don't recall the maker off the top of my head, but it's just charming. Like he kind of specializes in these clay pots with these cloud feet, and they just have a lot of detail, and they're all different sizes. This one's pretty small, but I always love just the natural clay color. I find it works with any tree basically, so it's an easy choice to make. And yeah, this one's got some little wear on it, and I just love used pots. You can see it's got some wear and some patina of years of use, and that just charms me to no end. There's the chop on it. I'll try to put the details in the notes. I don't remember the maker. And the last pot's another Japanese pot. I'm a sucker for Japanese pots, and I've been collecting too many green lately. But this one really appealed to me because it's a very washed green, and it almost has some white in it, and so I think it might work well with a variegated, that was just kind of similar. There's the chop, It's got nice feet on it. This is a size I really like to work with, and it's got these cool corners. I don't know what that's called, but they kind of come into one another, and just a charming pot. I really enjoy it. And so yeah, it was a good Christmas haul, and so I want to thank you for watching and being part of the channel, and I look forward to seeing you all again very, very soon.